Beautiful souls, do you have a prayer request or want us to send you healing energy today? Would you like us to be praying for your friend or loved one? If this is you, go to worldslargestprayernetwork.com to submit your prayer request. And while you're there, please sign up to join our team of prayer warriors. The angels say prayer not only opens you to miracles, raises your vibration, and helps you heal, but the more you pray, the more God's presence is felt on earth. Feel your angels' love as they surround you right now, and listen for the positive, loving messages your angels intended specifically for you in today's episode. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the Angels and Awakening podcast. I'm your host and author, Julie Jancius, and today we're here with Norma, who has an angel story to share with us. Norma, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. Okay, I'm going to let you take it away.
Okay, so when I was about 12 years old, my parents used to send us off to my grandparents, and my grandparents had retired and bought an olive ranch in Baja California, in Ensenada. And so my sister and I usually would spend summers there. And so I had this dream while I was staying at my grandparents' olive ranch. And I believe it was the first night that I stayed there. And I remember I had two other cousins there with us, and we were all in the same room, you know, being girls, laughing and joking and being silly. And finally, we started to get some sleep. And in this dream, I was not myself. I was somebody of a different nationality. And I had this best friend. And in the dream, I see him running away from the police. He starts to climb this chain link fence, and then I see him being shot. He drops down to the other side of the fence. And then, of course, because this is a dream and things kind of move quickly, I was kneeling next to him. And I'm crying and crying and crying. And then all of a sudden, I start to see what I believe is his soul start to rise from his body. And in the dream, while I'm watching this, I'm a little taken aback by it. And then the dream fast forwards to where I'm in my bedroom, and I'm just hanging out in my room, and I see him in my room. And he says to me, I really need your help. I have a favor. He says, I have to ask you first, and I don't have a lot of time. And I'm just like in disbelief and in shock because he's passed away and he's in my room. And he's talking really fast. He's moving his hands around. He's like, Can you do this for me? Can you do this favor? And, you know, I didn't even think, what is it that he's asking of me? I just automatically said, yes, of course, I'll do it. And so then he said, okay, you're the only person that I think that can help me with this because I have to get this right. He's like, and I really think the type of, I guess he's like person that I am, he said, you'll be able to help me with this. So I said, okay, but I'm still not sure exactly what it is I'm supposed to do. And he says, don't forget about this. He's like, I'm going to come back to you. He says, I believe the date was September. It had a 2 in it, and then it had 2000. I don't remember like the exact, but I know that it was September with the 2 and the 2000, which to me was so futuristic because I'm this 12-year-old little girl in the 80s. And to hear 2000 is like, what?
Oh, yeah. That was like the Jetsons to us, right? Like,
yes.
We thought there were going to be flying cars, and you just pop a little disc inside the microwave and it creates your meal.
Like the Jetsons.
Yes. Yes.
I don't even know if they show that cartoon anymore, but yes.
It was a good one.
Yes. And so he said, just don't forget it. Don't forget this dream. And I said, okay. And I woke up in the morning, and me being 12, I thought, wow, what a dream. That was interesting. And I wrote it down in my notebook. From time to time, I would like journal write, and then sometimes I would write down dreams. And so I happened to write it down. And in my notebook, I wrote September 2, 2000, because I couldn't like remember the exact date. And I wrote the whole thing down. I just thought it was really interesting. Then fast forward to the 2000s, I came across the notebook. I read it and I was like, oh, I remember that. I remember when that happened. And when my husband came home from work, I said, oh, I want you to read something that I wrote when I was like 12 years old. He's like, okay. So he reads it and he's like, wow, that's really interesting. I said, did you look at the date? Because at that point I had my son, and his birthday is in September, and it does have a 2. I don't want to give his full birth date, but it has a 2, and it's in the 2000s. And so I said, isn't that interesting? It almost seems like, his birthday. And he's like, yeah. And he said, you know what? He's like, you both have, ever since he's been born, it always seems like you have like this really special connection with him. He's like, I wouldn't be surprised if, that had something to do with, this. And I'm like, I think so too. It's a possibility. And I left out a part. He told me it was going to be really hard to do whatever it was I was supposed to do. He says, this is going to be really hard. It's not going to be easy. And I don't want to say that he's been a difficult child, but he's definitely has like his way about things. And I've really had to like learn how to communicate with him and, just figure things out in a different way, because he thinks, of course, he's his own person. So he thinks completely differently than I do. And now he's like in his 20s. So, but it was just really cool. And I remember I told my mom, and then when he was, I want to say, I think he was 16, I told him that story. And I told him, I think it was you. And I think we knew each other possibly in a past life, and that I've been here to help you. Yeah. And so at first, I think he was a little taken aback by the story. Yeah. And then he was like, okay, Mom. And then as time has gone on, I'm like, do you believe it, or what do you think? And he's like, yeah, I'm starting to think now it's a possibility. Yes. But I mean, it was just so interesting and so detailed. And even when I talk about it, I can still picture everything in my mind, like in the dream, as if I was back in the dream again.
That's incredible. And I think that, so you told this story in the Angel membership. Yes. I think it was like a small group day. And I was like, oh, Norma, you have to come on the show. You have to share this with everybody, because as you were talking, a lot of people talk about guides. Like, Julie, why don't you talk about guides more? I see our guides as always having been connected to us in a past life. I see our angels as guiding us through this life in so many different ways. And so what the angels say for me is that it's not separate. Like we try and separate out guides as being different from angels or loved ones on the other side, but it's very much intertwined. And so we have to kind of step out of our old way of thinking about this and step into that new perspective, because what he was asking from you was for you to be an earthbound guide of his while he was here.
Right.
He was asking permission. Friend, do you ever wonder if you're in the right career? Do you find yourself thinking, there's got to be more to life than this? Do you want to know why God, universe, source called your soul here now? Find out who you really are. I'm teaching a brand new course with all new content to help you find your purpose in 30 days. Class begins October 1st, or watch the replay at any time. Find the clarity, direction, fulfillment you've been searching for. The class is called Find Your Purpose in 30 Days. For early bird pricing, use the coupon code EARLYBIRDPURPOSE. Sign up today at theangelmedium.com. Also, the winner of this month's free reading with me is in the show notes. Leave a 5-star positive review of my podcast or book, and you could be next month's winner. Another thing that came up as you were sharing that story, and this is where free will comes in. His coming here was not an original part of the life plan of your husband's, of yours. You have one other child, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Of their life plan. And so what the angels were saying that day in the angel membership when we were talking about this is that your son had to come through and ask permission because it wasn't part of the original life plan, life path for all three of you who were originally coming. It is interesting because you know how I talk about between the souls, there's connection, and you can see it as strands of energy that for some people it's thin like dental floss and some people it's thick like a tree trunk. And it almost looks like a tree trunk too, in that the thicker it is, the longer you've lived lifetimes, the more lifetimes you've lived with that person. So the energy between your son and your husband is kind of like a baby tree, right? Maybe like that's been around for 3-5 years. And the energy between you and your son is massive, like this redwood tree, right? It's just a massive trunk of energy between the two of you. So I'm not surprised. And I think that this happens a lot of times. Like one parent can feel more connected to a child and another parent can feel more connected to another child. And it gets hard too when there's just one child, because I've experienced that too. But what the angels say is not to judge it.
Okay.
Like, your husband shouldn't judge it. You shouldn't judge it. Nobody should judge that, because what's meant to be is your relationship here and now. And that's what's most important.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Your son that you were talking about has a lot of purpose here to go out and to help others. And what the angels are also saying is that his mission here was really important and really vital. And what I need you to let him know, or maybe just have him listen to the show, is that he's not here to struggle his entire lifetime. He's here to learn lessons at the forefront of his life, his teenage years, his 20s, so that in his 30s, he can take all that he's learned, and that's when his purpose starts to come out. And he's going to fulfill that in his 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. But it all comes down to, and it all stems from him really allowing himself to surrender and accept the early life lessons that he was here to learn. Because without that compassion, empathy, understanding from those lessons, he's not able to do what his soul was called here to do.
Okay. That's so interesting that you said that, because sometimes when I speak to his girlfriend, I always tell her, how do I say this? I usually say he's going to be who he needs to be in his 30s. That's when he's going to start to really evolve. I always tell her that. And she always looks at me, she smiles, she just kind of laughs, And I said, but that's when he's really going to be, himself.
Yeah.
And that's so cool that you said that, because that just makes me feel good, because that just kind of confirms what I felt in my heart.
Yes, it validates for you. Oh, I love that. I love that. Norma, have you had any dreams since? Or, because the other thing that really comes in too is, who is the motherly energy on the other side for you? Is that grandma?
I have a grandma on the other side. Yes. I have
is that
two
mom's
grandmas.
Mom?
Oh, honestly, I don't really know my mom's mom, but yes, she's on the other side.
I know that we're working a lot with ancestors right now within the angel membership.
Yes.
She comes in asking you to spend some time with you, or for you to spend some time with her, because she helps a lot with your son's life path. So your mom's mom on the other side really wants you to understand that, because she's lived so many lives with your son, that she comes through, even if you didn't know her in this lifetime very well, where you could spend time with her in meditation in order to get to messages for your son. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes, it does. Yeah. I spoke with her, I think, one time, and then she was ill, and then shortly after she passed away. But yes, oh wow, that's really cool. Thank you.
Yes. Norma, thank you so much for being on the show.
I have to tell you, Julie, how much I enjoy being a part of the angel membership. I have grown in such a way that I didn't even think possible. I have learned so much from you. I enjoy all the groups. I enjoy everything that we've learned. It's just opened my eyes to so many different things. So I really appreciate it. And I just want you to know that if anyone out there is thinking about joining the angel membership, that they definitely should. They would get so much out of it, just so much.
Yay. Thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate that, Norma.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Of course. Beautiful soul, thank you so much for joining me today. My name's Julie. You know I'm all about connecting you with messages from your angels and loved ones on the other side. If you've been listening today and you're super excited and just have to know which angels are around you right now, who's connecting with you, and what messages they have for you, go to theangelmedium.com. Register for a session. You can do a reading with me or a member of my team, and we can help you in making sure that your angels are doing the very best they can to support you and guide you to your best life. If this sounds like you, virtual sessions, they're only offered on my website. Sign up today. And if you're the person who's really excited, you can sign up for my Angel Reiki School to become a certified angel messenger. That's for the healers among us who feel called to grow their intuition to the max and serve humanity with their gifts. You'll learn Reiki, mediumship, how to deliver angel messages, and how to get clients. That's the Angel Reiki School at theangelmedium.com or DM me on Instagram at Angel Podcast with any questions. Before you go, connect with your angels by placing your hands on your heart. Take a deep breath. Imagine a doorway filled with God's unconditional love is right in front of you. Step into that love and feel it as it fills your body, chakras, and auric field. Now ask your angels, what would you have me know today? And open yourself to the positive, loving messages they have just for you.